everything is related or ends up being related one way or another, I feel. If you talk about something that you're getting strong with, like daily vigilance with eating habits to maintain healthy ones for you, maintaining daily fitness goals that you set that make sense for you, right? Not that somebody else comes up with, not that, your friends are doing. Being empowered no matter what. And the empowering power of knowing how powerful you are. How powerful I am. I was just thinking about a bunch of stuff, runs through my head. What are you making these stupid videos for, Ashley? And then I was so focused more on, you can just sort of stop. You're being of service. Listen to your gut. You have a feeling that you should do this, so keep going with it. And I just thought about value and self-worth. And I was going to talk about eating stuff. And I was thinking of how many times I equated and how I still, if I'm honest with myself, and I must be, still equate my physical appearance, my external self to my value. And I caught myself in that thought because I was thinking, how can I help all the women that are probably feeling so stuck? Not just because we're quarantined and we're locked down and we're stuck in our houses. I feel really lucky to be alone. But how can I help them and talk a bit about body dysmorphia? And, there were times that I was absolutely underweight for my height. I'm like 5'9.25", 5'10". And I remember calling insurance company, medical insurance, and I was like, I'm 5'10", or I said 5'9", whatever I said. And I said I'm 117 pounds. And he was like, oh, we can't actually insure you when you're that underweight. And I was like, that was like a month ago. I was really, it's like 127. And he's like, oh, okay. It was kind of one of those things. And I was like 110. So getting used to being 112, 115, 117. Getting used to being 125. And so then I was thinking, I was on this train of thought. The whole thing is value, and I remember speaking to Dr. Cartagena. He's an amazing psychiatrist in Santa Monica, California. He's amazing. You need to call him OJ Cartagena. But I remember being in his office and we're talking about my eating disorder just 7 years ago. And he goes, what is it about being so thin that makes you feel good, or that is so important to you, valuable to you? And I said, I feel in control. And a lot of people are familiar with the eating disorders having to do with control. It's like the one thing you can manage is your physical appearance or your food intake or however it manifests for you. And he goes, Ash, do you think that, and I said, if I don't speak, before PTSD, I had issues with social anxiety. Like making phone calls would make me uncomfortable, even to really close friends. And then too much time would elapse, and then it would build up, and I'd feel even worse. And this is like not people I owe money to, not people who just want to talk to me. What am I going to say? What's the first thing they're going to say? What should I say after they say that. And then, of course, the conversation, hey, how are you? They say something, I wasn't prepared for that one. And then you get into this like fake, really uncomfortable, you feel out of your body anxiety feeling. And at least that was my experience. And then like talking in a different voice and you don't know why and you can't fucking bring it back. Anyways, I was also thinking about short-term memory and why it makes sense that for PTSD and when you're in a trigger response or in a trauma, and so you're basically working with trauma brain when you're in trigger response and when you're in trauma. Of course, it's much more intense when you're in real trauma, I would imagine. I'm not a doctor, but I'd be surprised if it wasn't, if the systems weren't showing up in pretty much the same way. Is because you don't need a long-term memory to fight off a wolf that's attacking you or something, you know, or a wild animal. So this is where all these instincts are coming from, is what I'm getting at. But also the body dysmorphia thing. It's like, so if I'm 10 pounds heavy, I remember one time I weighed at one point 145 pounds. That was the most I've weighed. It was in LA. It was, I want to say it was like 2012. So I was like 31. I'm 38 now. And I had stopped drinking. I did AA until I guess I wasn't like an addict. It was more eating disorder stuff I should focus on. I did OA, that's Overeaters Anonymous. And I did Al-Anon, and that was really helpful. Being an adult, knowing about like my mom's alcoholism and how that affected me, that was really helpful. Everything, all 12-step programs I feel like are worth checking out. Yeah, if a wolf is like coming after you, you don't need to have a memory chain of some witty thought progression. Yeah, I gave myself a compliment in there. We're the first society in history that the more money you have, i.e. the higher class, let's call it, is in direct correlation to weight, with the opposite, inverted. So whereas if you had a lot of money in the past, you would have money to have food, to have a farm, to have animals that made food, etc. Here, it's so desirable to be thin, so people either have very expensive trainers, workout schedules, etc., as well as excellent food, which ironically enough, vegetables and stuff like that cost more than, you know, twice the amount of McDonald's or crap food that has all this stuff that your body doesn't understand and then just sits there as fat. So for the first time in history, human beings, the higher you are on the case system, the more money you have is most likely how everyone would agree one's worth or whatever is gauged right now. The thinner most likely you are. And then as you go down, you get bigger. Like somebody wrote, how are poor people getting fat? Crappy food. Probably half the amount of food and just shitty. So stay happy, always have a good time, and know that your self-worth is beyond the stars, beyond the sun, beyond the moon. You can never even understand how special and important you are. Don't eat too much, just eat enough, what you need. good to take walks and take nice exercise, do yoga, just do everything in balance, you know? I hardly watch calories. I just eat little bits all day. But I also have to call myself out when I feel nervous and I restrict, which has happened a few times since this whole thing. So it's May 4th. I'm going to the post office now.